Hi. I just want to say how much I love my neurodiverse community. I am going to talk about something that's a little bit more serious today. And I'm going to talk about the unconscious social bias that we can have in society and in the neurodiverse community and what that impact looks like. And I'm going to talk about it from the lens of being a parent. Now, all of you know that I'm neurodivergent myself. I'm also a parent with neurodivergent children, and I coach with parents that have neurodivergent children. And I'm going to speak about some of the things that happen in our community that are unseen challenges that people just don't know about. And it really impacts us. So as a parent of kids that are neurodivergent, we will be out in public and we're often pointed at. We get really dirty looks, a lot of dirty looks about our kids and our kids' behaviors. We get comments about how we're parenting or lack of parenting. We get other parents that will point at our kids and they will teach their kids things about us, like calling us names or calling us weirdos or saying, stay away from those people, they just don't behave. And there's a stigmatism that is put on a kid as soon as they have a diagnosis. They're immediately put into a high risk category. Now, that doesn't mean that we are all high risk. And yeah, there's something to be said about that, right? And there's probably some pushback on that of if you're a neurodivergent person, it could mean in the future that you could have drug use or go to jail, so on and so forth. But I actually want to dive into that a little bit. Imagine you have a kid and the kid has brown hair, but you tell this kid every single day that he has blue hair. And the kid will look in the mirror and think to myself, I don't have blue hair, I have brown hair. But every single day, multiple times a day, we're telling, his parents tell him, his siblings tell him, his teachers tell him, people at the school tell him, people out at the grocery store tell him, people walking down the street tell him that he has blue hair. So 20 years later, he's walking around and says to somebody something about his blue hair. And somebody says to him, you don't have blue hair. And he said, yeah, I do. I have blue hair. There's definitely blue tints in my hair for sure. And it's because his entire life he had been told that he had blue hair. That's kind of like what society does with neurodivergent individuals. They are constantly telling neurodivergent individuals that they're awkward, they're lazy, they don't try hard, they're doing things on purpose. It doesn't matter what it is, they're constantly being told that they are wrong on a fundamental basis in every way. And a neurodivergent person may try genuinely hard, like really, really hard to do something or accomplish something or get somewhere, and they're overcoming all of these obstacles that people, neurotypicals just don't see, all the obstacles that we are overcoming, and yet we're constantly coming up short, or at least society is constantly telling us we are coming up short. And that does an impact to a person's awareness of who they are and how they fit into society. And because of that, it can cause anxiety and depression. And that is what's actually putting the person in high risk. Then there's other instances like repetitive thoughts and ruminating thoughts, right? So I just want to set the precedents out there that there is a lot of judgment on neurodivergent individuals, from whether it be conscious or subconscious, right? If a person tells a neurotypical person that they have a diagnosis, quite often they will start rattling off, or they'll have thoughts in their head of what that person isn't capable of. For instance, a lot of neurodiverse individuals are still referred to as disabled. The very word means not able. So I want to kind of just put this out there and challenge you to just wonder to yourself, even not understanding neurodivergent children, in the fact that sometimes they have a hard time regulating themselves. And because they're dysregulated, a lot of people will have their own thoughts about what is happening with this child that is dysregulated. They'll have thoughts about the child, and if the child is a good or a bad person, and if the child is behaved or not behaved. They'll have thoughts and ideas about the parent, the mother or the father, whether the mother or the father is a good father or a good mother, whether they should be out in public, whether they should let their child have the fit, whether the child's fit is lasting long enough or too long, right? Whether the person is rocking and hitting themselves in the head, whether they're swearing, whether they're throwing things. And what will happen is, quite often, a parent of neurodivergent child not only is getting a lot of judgment, criticism, looks, they're being excluded from other parents. Other kids are excluding the kids from being social and finding friends. But another thing happens to us that people just don't talk about, and that is the fact that other people do not understand what it is like to be a parent of a neurodivergent child and what a neurodivergent, unregulated child looks like, and they will call CPS. So what happens is you have parents that are exhausted. They're trying their best. They're advocating for their children. They're trying to get services for their children. Oftentimes there's super long wait lists. There is a lack of services. There's a lack of therapists. They're paying out of pocket for a lot of things for their kids because the insurance companies have not caught up. They're also getting looks. They're getting judgments. They're getting comments. They're getting hateful things said to them, to their kids. They're being isolated. And they get the additional stress of getting CPS called on them. Now, this doesn't happen to every single neurodivergent parent, but it happens more times than you would possibly even imagine. So I want to just tell this story and talk about what it is like to be a neurodivergent parent, to give the neurotypicals an education of what, just a glimpse of what we might be going through as a parent. So then hopefully when you see a neurodivergent parent, you give them some love and some compassion. Maybe a kind hug or a meal dropped off once in a while. Maybe just befriend them because they are tired and they can really use a friend. Maybe give a hug. Maybe be open to the idea that if you see a kid totally falling apart and having a fit, that is just that kid's journey to be able to learn how to regulate themselves. And if they're not harming someone else, give the parent a loving look and let the parent handle it. I love you guys. Take care. If you like my videos, please like, subscribe, comment, and share.